Okay, Claressa Shields versus Savannah Marshall for the undisputed middleweight championship of the world. Savannah Marshall, the WBO middleweight champion. Claressa Shields, the unified middleweight champion of the world. Great fight, an absolute great fight. Before I actually go into the fight itself, I want to talk a bit about two people. I want to talk about, first of all, Peter Fury, who I've known for a number of years, and particularly when I was really in my flow of doing interviews with Peter Fury. Yeah, great man, great man. Had the pleasure of meeting him on a number of occasions, was even invited to Bwtm to watch him train, prepare Hughie Fury for his British title fight against Sam Sexton in Bolton. So I had the pleasure of seeing that and doing a mini documentary on this channel as well, plus with stacks and stacks of interviews, thanks to Peter Fury, with Tyson Fury, with Hughie Fury, and the rest. Yeah, so Peter knows his boxing so well, but as a man, just a really great guy, a guy you can sit down with and eat, have food. Actually, I have sat down and had food with him and spoken with him at length about a number of things, not just boxing. A great mentor, father figure, Peter Fury. And I say this to say that I'll go and say about Savannah Marshall. I got to meet Savannah Marshall just after she left the contract with Mayweather, and Peter Fury took her in. And I remember doing the interview with her again on this channel. So you just look at Savannah Marshall, Bwtm Sports, and she was talking about, breaking up with Mayweather Promotions and coming and joining Peter Fury and the story behind that. And you can see how much of Peter's positive influence, and not him just being a trainer, but being a mentor, and why I say he's one of the best trainers in the UK, and a name that really we should be hearing a lot more of on TV. We should be listening to him talk, because he's a wealth of wisdom, Peter Fury. And that's converted into what he's done with Savannah Marshall. Because Savannah Marshall, when I met her, the girl could fight, no doubt she could fight. And watching her up close, sparring with men, and even then, Pete would talk about how hard Savannah Marshall could punch. Yeah, she's giving guys in the gym a run for their money. So, but she was always very softly spoken, really, really lovely girl. Softly spoken, not one to put yourself in front of the camera, not one for all the lights, camera action, rather would want to be behind the scenes. Fortunately, boxing is all about you being in front, so she'd quite happily do her business and go home. But through the years, you can see where, from being almost pretty sheepish, Savannah Marshall, she has grown as a character into being, very confident now, and being a world champion, and now fighting Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields. You can see how Savannah has grown as a fighter. And you can see in the way Savannah fights, you can see a lot of how Peter has really molded and shaped and used what the skill set Savannah has got, and then added things that you can see Hughie Fury doing as well in Savannah Marshall. So it's to see from that world those years ago, and then watching them grow together and to be the team they are today, it's something very special. People are very quick to talk about this trainer and that trainer and this trainer and shout names out. And then you ask the question, what exactly have they done? This is a man in Peter Fury that's taken Savannah Marshall in and has turned her around in terms of character, in terms of confidence and fronting up. And I don't mean confidence in fighting. I'm talking about in front of the camera and how her stature as a champion now. And I don't think if the Claressa Shields fight happened those years ago when Claressa wanted that fight, I don't think Savannah's confidence would be where it is today. I don't. I think she'd still fight her, but I just think the confidence would have been different. And I think the promotion of this fight would have been different. You know, Savannah had a nice streak. Her knockout win last night obviously did her even more in terms of promotion, because people will think, well, if she connects on Shields with that punch, then, you know, we could be seeing a shock here. You know, so you already see how the script has been built here. Savannah Marshall being the hero and Claressa Shields being, you know, the enemy, yeah, and the Brit versus the American. You can see how the script's going there already. And of course, Shields feels aggrieved that despite all her achievements, they still talk about Savannah Marshall. To achieve what she's done in the Olympics, to achieve what she's done as a pro, they're still looking at Savannah Marshall. And that would annoy me as well, because, like, okay, she beat me as the amateurs. Yeah, we get that. Yeah, okay, fine. But what about my achievements? What about giving the same energy you put into talking to me about Savannah Marshall? What about giving me my props? You know, and just give me my props. Just give me. I've done what Savannah Marshall couldn't do, and just admit that. You know, instead of making this, oh, this is a 50-55. Let's talk about the stats and what Claressa's achieved. So I think that's very important as well. And I think in the UK, there's a tendency to overhype, oversell, and then people get disappointed. Okay. Now, Savannah Marshall does punch hard, very hard. But for punchers, they need to be able to set their feet. Yeah, they need to be able to set their feet and be in position to land them big shots. If they can't set their feet to land the shots, there's a problem. If you keep turning a person like Savannah, keep turning them, and you're faster than them, and you throw more punches than them, or you throw faster combinations to them, then you start to confuse them. Okay. Two things about this fight. Claressa comes in the faster fighter in this fight, and has fought the better names. And you look at resume, what she's achieved so far as a pro. Okay, they talk about his punching power, but his punching power has knocked out people that, let's be honest, they're not in the same. You know, Claressa hasn't fought Savannah hasn't fought somebody like Hannah Gabriels. I'd love to see how she would deal with a fighter like that. Or, how, Christina Hammer, how would Savannah Marshall have done against her? The comparatives, I would like to see how she would have done against those fighters. We won't know. We won't know yet, because the Claressa Shields fight is around the corner. So it's all been based, this whole fight is built around Savannah's punching power versus Claressa's speed. Let me tell you something now. In the three, before Savannah unloaded and detonated that beautiful left hook, she was getting hit with shots, and she was pulling back from shots and getting hit with right hands. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, Claressa's going to hit you, and Claressa might not hit that hard, but she'll hit you more regularly. And when somebody's fast, they confuse you. You know, somebody like for Savannah needs to set herself. She needs to have space and time and room to land them big shots, I think. I'm not so sure how she'll do if Claressa's on her chest and crowding her. And I don't know how Savannah will deal with Claressa mid to short range. Up close and personal. Long range, I think she's going to be beautiful, but it's up close. When she gets past that jab and becomes a dogfight on the inside, that's where you'll neutralize the power. You neutralize the power by constantly making Marshall turn. Don't allow her to set. Until she sets, you throw the jab and you're on your way. Do you know what I mean? You don't allow her to set. If Shields gets hit by Marshall, she's going to know about it. But it's if she can keep Marshall turning. Keep Marshall turning. Keep her turning. Spring an attack. And then shoot out to the side. Don't pull straight back. Shoot to the sides. Keep her turning, keep her turning, keep her turning, keep her turning, keep her guessing, and sharp in and out attacks. That's how I think Shields is going to go about this fight. And I think it'd be an intense fight. If Shields decide to stay on the outside and allow Marshall to set ourselves up and throw them big shots, then we're in for a real upset. But it's going to be a great fight, but I just wonder if Claressa's resume of fighting better fighters on a regular basis, or better caliber fighters on a regular basis, is gonna be more of a help to her and Savannah's hindrance or not. Because there was that time when Savannah wasn't fighting that much. She was inactive and stuff, not getting in his fights, and Claressa was fighting. Is that gonna be a matter? And the confidence that Peter has instilled in Savannah. This fight, we're gonna see how deep that confidence is. If she gets early dropped in a fight, Savannah, or she's cut early in a fight, or there's a real crisis in the corner, then how deep is that confidence? How deep is the work that Peter Fury's done with Savannah? Because it looks good and it seems good. It seems that he's done a lot of work with her. But when things are not going her way and she's either being confused or being peppered with the jab, how does she respond to that psychologically? These are very interesting questions I have for this fight, but I think it's going to be an absolute belter of a fight. I really do. I think we're going to get a real fight here. That's what my thoughts are so far on it. But I think it's a great fight. It really is. Marshall smashes Shields. Okay. Morning, and love the post on Instagram. Lovely family you got. God bless you all. Thank you very much, Cameron. There's the best in the world, Peter Fury. Absolutely. What a trainer. What a trainer. Yes. Dragon West says Shields gets knocked out. Knockout was amazing to clean. Yes, it was. I can't honestly buy into that punching power based on that opponent and the knockout and say, yeah, she's going to knock out Shields. Can't say that, honestly, because footwork is everything. For you to land those sort of punches, you have to have your feet stable beneath. You have to have your feet stable. You have to have balance and you have to have leverage. You have to have leverage. If you can't have leverage, you can't get the shots off. You can't get the same power in those shots. And leverage comes with balance. A balance means you being steady. But if you're being rocked back with a jab, you haven't got that balance. You haven't got that balance, right? And Savannah, for all her punching power, she's not fast on her feet. She's not fast on her feet. She's not suddenly going to get fast on her feet in this fight. So I just think to myself, now we talk about the opponent. The opponent, Claressa fought her 4 years ago. 4 years ago. And Claressa just turned just very early in her pro career. So let's also have some good salesmanship there. Yeah. Good salesmanship. It's like when Tyson Fury fought Klitschko. And then Joshua fought him 2 years later. Adam Smith told us that Klitschko was 2 years better fighter. Even though he hadn't fought in 2 years, he was a better fighter than when Tyson Fury fought him. You understand? So there's a lot of selling going on here, right? There's a lot of selling going on. I'm not saying the opponent wasn't good, but it's not the top of the range fighter that she's been fighting, you know? So that's where I am. I am not buying into she's a big puncher. Yes, she's a big puncher. Not disputing that. But against what type of fighter? If you're going to stand in front of Savannah Marshall and have a fight, oh yeah, Savannah Marshall, you stand right in front of her and let her throw them big shots. Yeah, of course. But now, when you're maneuvering around the ring, okay, so you're saying that opponent has never been knocked out and gave Shields problems, and she was a former world champion and current European champion. Can you also pull up the stats on Claressa Shields, please? You're talking about that opponent. Can you please bring up the stats on Claressa Shields and what Claressa has achieved in her career, and then stack that up against that woman you're talking about? Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So you're taking punching power against that girl with that skill set, based on the undisputed champion. 2 weight classes, really? This is where we have to be honest with ourselves. Look, KOs like that don't happen in women's boxing. Yes, they do. I think you need to study Ann Wolfe. And the girl was much taller than Ann Wolfe. You need to go and watch Ann Wolfe fight. You need to go and watch Lucia Riker fight. Yeah, Lucia Riker was on this channel as well. Lucia Riker could punch. Don't fall into that, because there's no way Savannah Marshall hits as hard as Ann Wolfe. So go and look at Ann Wolfe. Go and see how Ann Wolfe starched that girl. He said punches don't come like that in boxing. Remember, these 2-minute rounds. You know, go back and look at Ann Wolfe, Lucia Riker. Look at those girls fight back in the day. They could punch. Yeah, they could punch. So we're comparing Wolfe to Marshall. Not a bad comparison. No, you're just telling me that those punches don't happen in women's boxing. I'm saying to you that they do. Anyway, back to my point. So I think we need to be careful when we look at this fight in terms of punching power against who. You know, I'm not backtracking. Marshall can punch, but will she get those same opportunities to land those punches against Claressa Shields? That's the thing. With somebody who is technically better than you, technically faster than you, and has achieved more than you as an amateur and a pro. It's just this fight. And the fight that when they fought, 17 years old, something like that. So this is the real stuff now. So, and remember that girl that Savannah was fighting was able to turn her, was able to hit with straight right hands when she was. It's something I'm not comfortable with her doing. I don't like it. It's when she turns her head like this. I don't like it, because she leaves herself open to getting hit there. And these are things that will be exploited by someone like Claressa Shields. Yeah. So it's not all about punching power. You must remember, it's not just all about punching power. Because if it was all about punching power, then all the champions in the world will all be big punchers, huge punchers. Absolutely, he will have a fight. Pete will have everything, every single detail of the fight covered. We don't need to worry about her feet or anything, but you do need to worry about your feet. Peter Fury is a very good trainer, but he's not a magician. Okay, and a fighter's feet are like the foundations of the foundations of what they do. If you don't have your feet, your punching power means nothing. You've got to have good feet. Your feet have got to be key. And with somebody who's got faster feet than you, that becomes an issue. They have common opponents. When Marshall has KO'd them and Shields has gone the distance, that's the only way you can make the comparison. Peter sorted Tyson out. Tyson hasn't fought. Hasn't fought Claressa Shields. Very different category of fighter. Very different category of fighter. I'm not Claressa Shields' biggest fan, right? But I credit her for what she's achieved in the sport. Okay, and so I mean, look, Ricky Hatton's another very good example brilliant body puncher, good puncher. You know, if Ricky Hatton hits you with a body shot, he'll knock you over. Yes. Then he fought Mayweather, who was technically better. The jab, check the left hook, made Ricky walk onto shots, frustrate Ricky, tie him up, and then eventually knocked out Ricky Hatton. Yeah? Do you know what I mean? So it happens. It can happen in sport. And if we go out there and say, well, Savannah Marshall's not a big puncher, not Savannah Marshall, Claressa Shields is not a big puncher, again, I would be very, very careful in this as well. You know, it's when you're not as fast, you get caught with shots, and you can get caught with 3 or 4 more shots, and you haven't got the feet to get stuff out. These are things that have to be again. If Shields thinks she can exchange with Marshall, she's definitely getting knocked out. Again, that statement you've put there isn't factually true, because if Shields fights Savannah Marshall up close here on the chest, that knockout's not happening. That knockout's not happening. The knockout would happen if she's at long range, whereas Savannah Marshall can get those long levers out and throw those big shots. But up close and personal, that knockout's not coming. That knockout's not coming like that. Yeah? You even look at the left hook that was thrown. Marshall was in position, but she had her feet, and her feet were positioned correctly. Then she was able to bang on the left hook. That's how she could get through. That was leverage because her feet were under her. If her feet didn't have balance, she would never be able to generate power to cause a knockout. So for Savannah Marshall to cause a knockout and Claressa Shields, right, her leverage, her feet have got to be in the right position to throw the shot. And if it's somebody who's faster than you and is able to nimble to get in and out and cause quick attacks in and out, that becomes a problem. Yeah? It doesn't matter who the trainer is. Example, Valuev against David Haye. Guy's big, he's a giant, he was almost a foot taller than David Haye, size twice, 3 times the size of David Haye. But Haye had speed and movement. So no matter how much Valuev trained on his footwork, he just isn't that fast on his feet. So therefore, Haye was able to get in and out. And the reason why Haye was getting in and out is because he didn't want to get hit by anything but that giant had, right? But the giant had slow hands and slow feet. A person could have fast hands and fast feet in comparison to who they're fighting. But remember, the level of opposition. And this is the thing. While you would praise Savannah for her punching power, you're minimizing your opponent. And when you do that, you set yourselves up for serious disappointment. So you need to say, okay, Savannah's a big puncher. So, okay. So if the big punch doesn't come and the big punch doesn't land, then what happens? Then you've got to revert to boxing. So who's the better boxer? For the record, I think it's a very good competitive fight. I just have Marshall a slight favourite for me. Okay? That's fine. I just think you mustn't get too caught up in this punching power thing. Because like I said, you need your feet to land your shots. And if you've got someone who's fast and you've got faster feet that can come in and out, if you go back and look at that tape again, with that girl she fought last night, and then the African girl that she fought, well, she stopped the African girl. But the African girl that she fought, that's the fight there. That the 2 girls now, they're not as skillful as Shields. And those are the things that concern me in this fight with Marshall. If she lands, night, Claressa. If she lands, yeah, but it won't be as easy to hit Claressa as those other girls. I wouldn't have thought anyway, but we'll see. Right. Don't forget to leave your comments in the comment section, rate, subscribe, do the good things. And it's good to see you all in the room and in the house. Cameron, Lucy, great to see you as always. I think it's a great fight. And Mitchell, it's a great fight. Bwtm. It's a great fight, but I think this fight is really going to come down to not this, feet, footwork. I think football's going to be so key in this fight. So key. All right. Thanks for watching as always. I really appreciate it all. You're watching. Thanks again. Take care.